abuse, but the family courts, they support that.
Yeah, they don't get it. And as you know, I was in court for a half a dozen years, but I was in family court and in criminal court because I was like that pit bull that I took in. I just latched on. I couldn't let go. I mean, I was obsessed with, and that's one of the things. One of the most traumatic things that targeted parents experience is that there is no support. I mean, these are slam dunk cases. You know, they're just like, there's nothing baffling about the fact of what is going on and who's being hurt and how much they're being hurt. And every 2 months there's more confirmation about the devastation. And now they're starting to see the impact of the mental health problems that kids of alienators have. And the numbers are just going way up. I mean, we're going to be somewhere between a penal colony and an asylum. If seriously, I mean, the number of the increase in the number of people with narcissistic borderline personality disorder is going up with every 5 years, and that's because of the intergenerational. This is such traumatic, dysfunctional pathology. I mean, these aren't bad parents. I mean, and you can't say, everybody gets all googly, and I worked for NAMI. I know how you have to be careful about stigma. These people are seriously mentally ill. I mean, they are one step away from being behind bars to protect the rest of us. And nobody seems to get how bad these people are because they have such a good social persona. Yeah. And they can mirror the appropriate response and then use that to their own advantage. And so everybody gets sucked into it. That the judges and the custody evaluators are supposed to know this stuff like the back of their hands. We did. I mean, we married them. Okay. We have the most experience. We lived with them for how long before we figured out that they were chipping away at our brain and self-esteem, and you didn't know which end was up, and they were hurting your kids. I mean, I don't know about you, but I didn't catch on very quickly, which is exactly.
I don't think maybe a lot of people don't catch on. They try to ignore and try to hope that it just goes away or it gets better.
Well, you get married. Narcissistic borderline people love bomb their targets, and they make. We all think that love is supposed to be this thing that's all infatuation and sparkling, blah blah blah. Well, they make that happen initially, and you just think, I found the one person in the world who I can love and have a family with, and blah blah blah. And but they can only hold up that persona for so long, and especially when the kids come and they have an alternative target, you know, they push you right off the pedestal. They don't care how far you fall, and you're laying there going, and they're so weird about it. I mean, that's why I have that wacko file.
Well, don't you think some of these judges are narcissists themselves?
Or... Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. In fact, you'll find we learn, you know, the generations are learning from the narcissists. They're the action figures, and they're the celebrities, and they're the people in power. Oh my! And they are, and in their worlds as narcissists, as judges who have that, all they care about is power, and they look at the easiest way to get power, and they're not. They put orders on the alienating parent, and the alienating parent doesn't do anything about it. They don't follow up. They never offer. They never enforce any consequences, and they go, oh God, I can't buffalo them into being afraid of me, but her. She's scared just sitting there. I'm going to go over there and blast her and feel all powerful, and or whoever is that. They kick whoever's down.
Yeah,
because they're easier, and I'm really, to have any hope in the world at all, I have to think that not everybody's like this. I mean, not every judge is like this. Out of all the bazillions of judges that are out there, everyone I meet is. So I never meet anybody who's like caring or
fair, just being fair.
or yeah,
Yeah.
I
I mean,
do
I would think
understand.
even at some case that if you got two parents that can't get along, but both kids need both loving parents, and as long as both parents aren't abusing their kids or doing anything sexually, immoral, I don't think there should be any reason why they can't be 50-50 custody. And even sometimes
Oh,
50-50 custody don't work, but as the two parents make it work, it should work.
it
And
does, and
and
it
if you
does.
if you have a parent that's really out of control or they're a narcissist or they have this vengeful spirit about them, then maybe that'd be the responsibility of the judges to say, you know what, you may seek counseling. I'm not going to interfere with you visiting your kids, but as long as you seek counseling, maybe that would be another avenue instead of saying, you know what, you're getting full custody, you're going to pay child support, you have no visitation, or selected on her visitation practices. And then when it comes to visitation, because I know a lot of moms and dads that one or the other will not show up for the visitation. Or even if they have it scheduled where the kids be dropped off, the kids aren't dropped off, you
Oh,
know.
all the time. And that's part of interference and what we tell targeted parents to do because they targeted parents and you've got it exactly right. I mean, if you look at the container of families and parents and abuse,
Mhm.
85% can get along. They don't have a personality disorder. They have a right mind. They love their kids. They both love their kids. Those are normal, healthy people. People who are attached to their kids. They can. Nobody goes to the extreme of trying to take the kids away from the other parent unless you're not playing with a full deck.
Mhm.
You're missing a big piece of the pie here. Well, the lights are on, but nobody's home. And those are the ones that always end up in family court. That's why I say, I mean, this is like the chicken house of narcissistic borderline personality disordered parents. They roost there, and
Mhm.
then they stay because they're high conflict. They stay there for a long time, and they drain all the funds, and they do whatever because everything they do is conflictual.
Mhm.
So and that's the thing with this narcissistic borderline issue. Oh, and people will say, then they'll call it parent alienation, and you know that I believe that those are the tactics they use when they get to a certain point in their relationship. But there's no mild, moderate, or severe alienation. I mean, if there is, I've never seen a mild or moderate one because they're in this 85% that are working it out.
Mhm.
But there is a threshold where the narcissistic borderline person is so
They
seriously
didn't
dysfunctional.
choose this. You chose it. The two of you got married. Both of you cheated in the marriage. Both of you lied in the marriage. Both of you have manipulated in this situation. And so your kids are reeling from it. And you may think that this will be a great win for you if they're all with you and hate her. But let me tell you something. Hear what I'm saying.
I will.
Hear what I'm saying. This will backfire on you so bad you will never believe it. You won't see it coming. You will never believe it. The parent that alienates a child from the other parent ultimately winds up being on the very short end of the stick because these kids get smart enough to start thinking for themselves, and they're going to look around and say, why did you do this way?
Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't want to have anything to do with either one of you when they get to a point of independent thought.
I would hope that would be our
In
night.
the way they think, in the way they act, in the way they behave, that there is absolutely no way that parent, and it is black and white here, no way they can co-parent. No, it doesn't matter what the judge says to them. They can't even get treatment because they'll never admit that they have a disorder. Narcissists ever get diagnosed. Well, mine did, but he
But how
didn't
many
tell
did he
me.
have
But
to go see before he found the one that's actually agreeing with what he wants him to agree with? I mean, I've seen so many. I mean, I have very good friends in a lot of places in the psychiatry department, and I mentioned one to you yesterday that they will go to psychiatrist, counselor until they get the ones that match their needs. You
yeah,
know.
well, and they get smarter and smarter and smarter. I mean, these people are not stupid. They ever since they were a kid and they were horribly abused,
Mhm.
and they started to have to cope with reality in a way different than the rest of the world, and they developed this narcissistic kind of arrogant reality, and it is their reality. And that's when I think of looking at my ex's face and going, wow, all that time I was talking to a potted plant. You know, there was nothing going in, because it was all coming out. And I wondered why. I mean, obviously I don't have a problem talking. I never said a word. I was scared right down to my primal freeze zone, and I would just take it and then collapse and cry, and that's all I could do for years. Of course, the depression and all that sets in, and I kept thinking I'm losing my mind.
But how's that healthy for a parent?
It's
The judges can't be stupid. This has been happening on even before the 60s, but it started to adapt and become more prevalent in the 60s. Then the
Yeah.
70s came, then the 80s was like where the rocket took off, then the 90s, and now today. And with everybody from the 70s that I could remember in the 80s, with my parents back then, that was considered taboo. You just don't get divorced. And the thing is that in that time, the attorneys back then would try to almost talk the people out of divorce and make them seek counseling. Today, it's like a money pit, you know?
Yeah, and it
And
is. And with the high conflict people, there is no. You need to be divorced. I mean, you should have seen them. I think before anybody gets married, everybody gets a personality test, and then they talk about if somebody's got one of these high conflict personalities. Although we talked about the MMPI, and I don't know how you test for that, but there's. It's just they are the way they are forever. Now, some people are saying, yeah, you can treat it, da 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 da. Yeah, well, it's not going to happen in my lifetime. I mean, and then when they target you as their receptacle for everything they did wrong, because that's how they do it.
Yes.
They put it all on somebody else. That's for life. It's for life. They'll never see you in any other way. So once that happens, and you can get along. I mean, we stayed married for a while, and we kind of knew. I mean, I'm sure things were not right, but you couldn't put your finger on it. Some things were just going, whoa, that seems harsh. And he's going, you're too permissive. And I'm thinking, really? They just give you no. I'm a dental hygienist, and my ex thought the kids didn't need to go to the dentist. I didn't even get that much respect that I could decide if my kids needed to go to the dentist or not. And I was paying for the insurance. So it's like I'm sneaking them off to get their sealants. That's what a superior attitude they have, that they're always right.
well, I think a lot of the people that even come from a Christian background should be intelligent enough to treat their spouse like the church. Not that I'm the alpha man; it's my way or no way. And there's that big, huge.
And these people will congregate in fundamental churches where they have the structure, and what they say is what is, and what is what they say. So you will find there are a lot of these families that have these real fundamental religious things, and even when the woman is the narcissist borderline, and